Apple is killing Siri for good. Here's what's next.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the All Future Podcast. Oh, boy. Exciting news today. The death of Siri. I mean, we've talked about this a lot. So if I was to list things in order of exciting news today, it'd be number one, the death of Siri. Number two, the fact that we are knocking on the door of 10,000 subscribers.
Oh, yes.
Actually, almost certainly past it by the time you're seeing this. But just in case not, just in case we actually lose 1,000 subscribers, you guys subscribe. Help us get to that 10,000 number.
Yeah, thank you.
The big benefit on the YouTube side, I think, is once you're past 10,000 subscribers, people can buy stickers in a live stream.
Ooh.
A thing we never do.
Well, we could start, I guess.
We could start, and everyone could buy 99-cent virtual stickers, I guess.
Yeah, my brain immediately just thought like, oh no, now I have to buy like a thing to make these cameras go live.
Oh, that's it. I don't think we need much excuse to buy new film equipment. So maybe that's start doing live shows. But anyway, thank you guys for subscribing. Thanks for being on board with us. Let's get into this thing today, because really, here's the premise off the top, right? Is that is Apple essentially canceling Siri? And I think we've all talked about, it's going to change, like kind of what we know about it as Apple Intelligence gets integrated into it. But is there something that's so different out there, possibly a robot, that they're going to get a whole new kind of artificial AI personality branding thing going for it? That's the setup here. Ryan, what's going on? What do you think about this?
Well, I'm definitely intrigued by it, and we have a quote from our buddy Mark Gurman this week. He's not actually our buddy yet, but hopefully in the future, I guess.
Maybe
but he said, one vital piece of the robotic work is the creation of a personality. While Siri is the digital assistant on Apple's current devices, the company is working on another human-like interface based on generative AI. It could run on the tabletop product and other future Apple robotics devices, I'm told. So for now, it seems like this is kind of a separate AI personality that Apple is planning to work on and put into future robotics. But it seems like if they're going to nail this thing down on another thing, they're not going to keep Siri separate over here on their phones. Those will probably converge in the future. That's my thinking, at least, is when they're working on like a high-level product on their high-end products, which I'm guessing these would be, it's going to end up trickling down, and they're going to see all the benefits there. We'll see how Apple Intelligence Siri comes to be. It seems like when it first launches, it's going to be kind of the same and just improve a little bit, and then it might get a lot better, but I wouldn't be surprised if Apple finds like they just need kind of a clean slate on this, and that might be kind of what they're looking for here.
Maybe. Yeah, it's kind of an unusual thing. The idea of having different AI personalities, I guess, or personas, I don't know what you want to call it, on different devices, I guess we don't know how this is all going to play out.
Yeah.
Right? And do you want one unifying AI kind of controlling everything and having the same abilities all the time?
Yeah.
Right? So the rumor here is that this is that countertop robot we've talked about a lot, which imagine some kind of base station with an iPad screen on the robotic arm.
Yeah.
So again, very limited version of what a robot is, but, an intelligent mechanical arm that kind of move around from some kind of base station. That's the idea here. And why would you not want that to just be Siri? Well, there's a few reasons, actually. If maybe you don't want it to have the full functionality that Siri has, right? And maybe that's going to be a selling point. We don't really know how the market's going to go with this. I think there's different versions of kind of the future of AI, right? And I would actually split them pretty neatly into pretty classic geek categories. Is it a Star Trek or is it a Star Wars, right? And in Star Trek, there's kind of a unifying AI that they just call computer, right? And anywhere they're at, they can ask that computer something and it'll activate, it'll do stuff, it'll do whatever, right? And that's kind of the overarching version of AI that you see in Star Trek. Obviously, there are exceptions to that, data, all this kind of stuff, right? But I mean, when I mean the consumer version of it, kind of like what people use day to day, like that's what it is. Star Wars, completely different approach to it, in that they make specialized robots with different types of AI for different jobs, right?
Yeah.
There's no reason, at least, I guess if we just buy into the logic of Star Wars, that everything C-3PO does R2D2 couldn't do, right? Like, why does R2D2 talk with beeps? It doesn't make any sense. Why not just let him talk with voices? Why not put the languages from C3PO in him, or give C3PO the little mechanical arm thing that R2D2 has, right? There's no logical reason to separate those out, except I guess in the marketing of the Star Wars universe, at some point they developed AIs into more hyper-specific categories and spread them out.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going to happen in reality yet. And I guess that's what this kind of thing is proposing. This question of, are we going to go to the Star Trek model where Gemini or Siri or whatever it is, Alexa or what, is your kind of overarching AI and is controlling everything else. And everything else is an appendage of that AI. Or are we going to hyper specialize like Star Wars? I see plus and minuses to both. What do you like on this?
Well, first, I like that example. That's a great example.
Thanks, man.
And it might show my opinion of which movie category or which franchise I prefer.
Oh, you're about to make half the people mad, I guess.
I guess. But I think, I don't know, I feel like humans are drawn to like the different hyper-specific ones as opposed to just at all times having access to absolutely everything. There's something about like, this product I have does this thing. I think like we're kind of even missing that. I'm missing it to a degree with like music. Like instead of just an app on my phone, it's like my music player. And I've been like listening to more records lately. I'm a big music buff, so I'm a specific type of person. But I'm sure there's other use cases like that where it's like, oh man, I have this functionality on my phone and it's an app, but I wish I had the dedicated thing. There's just something about it. I don't know. Do you think humans are drawn to?
Dude, humans are definitely are, right? And if I was a company and my job was to sell things, I absolutely would make things AI specialized and give it different personalities and abilities, right?
Yeah, more products to sell.
You make more products to sell by that, you're right. And then you can frame it in so many different ways. It's like, hey, like Siri runs your life, has access to all this stuff, a lot of privacy information, all these kind of things. We don't want that to be in the equivalent of a toaster sitting on your counter, right? A lot of people in that, a public space, whatever. Like, so this AI only does what it knows to do within its little world of the countertop or whatever that is. And it doesn't reach out to other things or do other stuff. That's a good marketing point, right? There's the flip side of it too, though, right? Like that idea of like all human knowledge everywhere and a machine that's able to understand that and access that at all times.
Yeah.
There's a lot of benefits to that as well, right? Like if you're thinking of, I guess what's better for the consumer, it's kind of the Star Trek way,
Yeah.
But what's better for the company and maybe more delightful for the consumer, maybe the Star Wars way, right? And just have like all these different little robots around that do different things, and we can talk to them, and they have personalities.
It's like, what is more idealized and perfect and optimized versus what we'd actually enjoy?
Yeah,
which I guess that's like a whole philosophical question.
The history of human development and stuff. But yeah.
But I'm very curious about this and what this is exactly referring to, because for now it seems like it's that tabletop robot, but that doesn't seem like it's the end plan here. Gurman also noted that we're talking about the tabletop robot today, but then in the future we're talking about mobile robots and even the possibility of a humanoid robot in the next decade. I would be shocked about the next decade, but maybe they'll be working on it within the next decade. And today they're just working on version 1, which is whatever this. I just always, when I picture this, I just picture the iMac that was like the little half dome.
G4 iMac. Yeah. I mean, that's what all the renders of this make it seem like. The G4 iMac design is brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant design. And some might argue the peak of iMac design. I don't think they've made a more beautiful machine than that in a long time. And functional machine, like that arm is actually super cool. Like if you guys have never used a G4 iMac, if I've known this would have come up, I would have brought one in.
Oh, you have one?
Oh yeah, I got G4.
That was my first. That was my first Mac.
Very cool. It's very cool. And that screen, it can be upright on that arm, right? And then it can go way down, because it can go in front of the computer, so the arm will turn this way. So you can almost have it like right in. Well, let me be on camera. Like right in front of you, right here. And still see above you. So it made it perfect for like reception areas or offices or anything you got to move something out the way. If you put a touchscreen on that, that's kind of a killer machine. Like that's like a great desktop machine. You add it so that arm is robotic maybe, and you can talk to it. oh, maybe this thing's kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it seems like it's going to have whatever their next generation of an AI personality is. That I guess, yeah, it's just taking it beyond voice commands. And when they're starting from scratch, it's really like you're engaging with this thing. I think of like a lot of different products. I cover cars all the time, so my brain always goes to cars. But like you have the car companies that are like, oh, let's make an electric car. So let's just take our car and then like slap a battery on it and do some alterations, versus the company that's like, okay, we're making an electric car. Let's start from the ground up to make this and optimize it because it's electric. And those cars always end up better as an overall product in the end. And I think that's kind of the case here. Instead of them continuing to iterate and build upon Siri as it's been for the last however many years, let's just start from scratch.
Yeah.
So that's the idea, is that even though we're seeing version 2.0 of Siri coming soon, it might eventually just be discontinued in favor of whatever they call their next thing. And also, I wouldn't be surprised if Siri has a bit of a tainted reputation in its name. Maybe they can fix it with 2.0, but it's just, it has, it's not perfect. It has its issues, and people have experienced better versions of voice assistants that are not that.
Yeah, definitely.
But speaking of discontinued products, there's a lot of discontinued products we're expecting to see next month from Apple. And some of these you might not even know they still ship. But the first one that's a little surprising is the iPhone 15 Pro and iPhone 15 Pro Max. They're reportedly going to discontinue those when they release the 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max. And typically, I feel like they still sell the generation before at a discount oftentimes, right?
So they have, this is actually just probably even more interesting than you think, I think.
Ooh.
So for the last couple of years, they have not.
Okay.
For the flagships. So for the older baseline models, they will still ship those at lower prices. But for the past couple of years, for flagships, they have not.
Okay.
So the pros, essentially, right? This year, I think I think there's a lot of reason to think they might go back to the old system where they continue selling the flagships or do something because of Apple Intelligence.
Oh, that's true.
Because if we look at what is that lineup going to be, traditionally it would be they still sell a maybe like the iPhone 15, as they sell the 16 Pro side by side, right? But the baseline iPhone 15 isn't going to run Apple Intelligence. You need the Pro model for that, right?
Yeah.
So is Apple going to have an iPhone lineup with low-end phones that cannot use Apple Intelligence, right? That's the first question. I don't know. You go either way on this, from all kinds of points of view.
Yeah.
But I think that kind of, once you kind of make that call, then that kind of lets you kind of decide which of these products are going to get discontinued. What is that lineup going to be next year, right? Because as you alluded to, there's weird things that they sell that people probably don't know they sell. iPhone 13, for example.
Yeah.
Which is, on the list of one of the things they're probably going to discontinue. But you can buy that right now. $600 phone, couple generations old, but if you don't need something fancy, works great, right? But if we extrapolate that forward, what that would mean is, next year them selling a baseline iPhone 14 for that price, are they going to sell, which is not going to be an Apple Intelligence enabled phone in its current iteration? Are they going to sell stuff like that, or are they going to put better chips in older phone models and still sell them at a discount, but let them have Apple Intelligence?
Yeah, I could see both angles, because you have the AI version of this, which is like, we need this technology in people's hands. We need this getting trained. We need it in progress. So we need as many people to get this. Let's get older phones to have Apple Intelligence, versus let's sell as many of the new phones as we can. And the way to do that is to make these features only available on the iPhone 16.
Definitely.
And
for the record, I think that is the more likely scenario.
Yeah. Yeah. And it almost feels like Apple Intelligence is available on the 15, but they might even at the event be pretty clear, it's 3 times better at this than the iPhone 15 is. It's 3 times faster at Apple Intelligence tasks than the 15 is. I wouldn't be surprised if they say, oh, yeah, it does work on that, but they're trying to very clearly steer people. It's much better on the new phone. But as far as I do find it interesting to see the difference, because they used to sell the previous generation a lot, and it was kind of always just like it just goes down the list. And now they're kind of discontinuing it. I think part of that is because they're so similar Like the 15 compared to the 14 was such a similar.
Oh yeah, so that could be a really good reason to it. I'd have to go back and look at when they started not doing the pros but just doing the baseline from the previous year. But it might line up really well with them, like it's like too similar to the new model.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But next, we're expecting the Apple Watch Series 9 to be discontinued because they're reportedly releasing the 10, the Ultra 2 to be discontinued because they're going to release the 3, and the SE 2 to be discontinued because they would be releasing a new version of that. And this is kind of, I think, going to be in the same category as what we just talked about, where these watches are getting upgrades, but they might not be super significant. So Apple's going to wipe out the last generation so that the new generation actually has a big difference from, say, Apple Watch Series 8 or whatever the base one that they're going to sell is. What's next, Matt? What other products are going to be discontinued?
AirPods, man. AirPods. It's time to update the AirPods again. So this is the idea that both AirPods 2 and AirPods 3 discontinued for whatever the new lineup will be. So for you guys who aren't super into AirPods and what's going on, right? So like the AirPods 3 are the regular AirPods that have a similar form factor to the AirPod Pros, and that they're in the more oblong kind of case with the smaller ear tips or stems, I guess, but don't have the rubber ends on them like the Pros have and don't have some of the features. And then AirPods 2 are the ones that look like the original AirPods, I guess, in like the little taller kind of case or something. So yeah, it's time to like figure this out. Like, and we've talked about this before though. It's like, what's going to be the tier setup for AirPods going forward? And, because there's rumors that like the newer version of the regular AirPods will have a lot of those pro features, noise canceling and stuff like that. I feel like they can't do that, right? They're not going to drive people to the Pros. Like,
yeah, what would be driving you to the Pro at that point?
Yeah. I also, what I would love, and this is based on nothing, this is rampant from my brain speculation. I actually think the design of the 3s is not great, like as the actual physical design of the buds, because it's using the form factor from the Pros without those rubber ear tips. So I don't think they have as good of a fit.
Yeah.
Because they're kind of more narrow. It's got more a conical kind of shape on it, and they seem to just be looser, when they're in your ears, as opposed to original designed AirPods, which didn't have rubber tips at all, weren't designed for that, and had like a bigger top on them. Because they were designed from the old earbuds, which didn't have that either.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind a complete redesign on the entry level AirPods, just ground up.
Yeah, and then at that point, it seems like the rumors are we're going to have whatever the AirPods Pro are at that point, and then the AirPods 4, which would potentially have noise canceling and be some sort of upgraded form factor. And then they'd probably still sell the AirPods 2, or those will be discontinued as well.
AirPods SE or something, right? Some kind of, what they need is, they need the $99 entry level ones. They need the $150, $149 mid-tier ones, and the $200 Pro ones, right? Although I think AirPods Pro are $250.
I think they're $250.
Yeah, but probably I think street value is probably less than that. Like those are things that are on sale a lot to get people in the stores and stuff. So, but yeah, that seems like the way to go to me.
And then next we have new iPads, which are reportedly going to get some sort of slight refresh, likely just bringing them up to date with Apple Intelligence support and support for the Apple Pencil Pro. And that's the iPad Mini 6 getting discontinued in favor of the 7, and the iPad 10 getting discontinued in favor of the 11.
This is kind of interesting, right? Like, because if this is what we're really going to see, is Apple going to put Apple Intelligence into everything going forward, right? Because in the case of the Mini, right, it means you need to go up to an M1 chip if you're going to put M's in it, right? Or a 17, I want to say, is the 15 Pro chip, right? So like, you're essentially going to have to give power to these entry-level devices, right? More than Apple traditionally does.
Yeah.
If you want Apple Intelligence in them. And then all of a sudden, it starts making the line a little messy, because if you're talking about, let's say this Mini or this iPad 10, let's say to make them have the equivalent, to have them have Apple Intelligence, they decide to put M1 chips in them. Maybe they go M chips across which would unify the iPad line with M chips, right? Plus, it's gonna, it already has pencil support and stuff. So you put pencil support. Like now, you're like, oh well, what's forcing me up to an Air or to a Pro at that point?
Yeah, like form factor and
yeah.
refresh rate and stuff for the Pro. But yeah, if you already have the same chip, not a lot of people are going to care that much.
Right. Especially with that price difference,
Mhm.
right? Like, it's going to be pretty steep.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I didn't even think about that. I bet they'd go with the iPhone chips in Apple Intelligence support.
Probably. They'll probably put, baseline whatever chips, whatever's coming out next.
Whatever's in the 15 Pro today. That's what I expect the Mini and the iPad to get. But yeah, I think none of us are shocked by any of these being discontinued. I mean,
This is normal cycle stuff.
yeah, just normal cycle stuff. And the good news there, though, is if you're looking for one of these products, it's probably a good time to wait like, I don't know, 2 weeks and get it for $100 to $200 cheaper.
I'm always shocked by people buying stuff from Apple right now. I went to the Grove in LA this weekend, or last Friday, and they got that crazy Apple store in there that has all the trees in it. Like, it actually has trees coming out the ground for you guys who haven't seen it. It's a cool Apple store. It's a neat Apple store. And I didn't need anything. I just like to walk through it and see it. And people are in there buying iPhones. And I'm like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
What are you guys doing, man?
It literally just got announced. September 9th.
Just hold it. You can't wait that much longer.
Yeah. Like that's a steep discount you're going to get. But speaking of discounts, to finish this out, there is one deal happening through AT&T right now. If you trade in an old phone, you will get $1,000 off a 15 Pro. And that's a good deal because that is the phone that supports Apple Intelligence. So, and it's $1,000 off.
And the rumors are it's going to be $1,100, right? So there you go. You can get that's what it costs right now. $1,000 off a 15 Pro. No, it's still a stupid deal. Why you get a 15 Pro then? You know? Like you're going to get a free 15 Pro now, a phone that's about to be discontinued.
Yeah, but it's free.
Well, no,
maybe that's what everyone's doing at the Apple Store.
It's not free because you're trading in a phone that already has value, right?
That's true. I don't know the stipulations of the trade-in.
Yeah.
But okay, it might make sense. Check it out if you're in the
market.
market.
I guess if you really want a 15, this is a good deal.
But overall, the advice is don't buy a phone right now.
Yeah, just don't buy a phone.
Wait.